45. Brown, 45. Hot, 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 hot.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least three households, one studio, NFL Australia head office, American Football Australia head office, ABC studios, ESPN studios, Budgie Smugglers. Worldwide, we are growing every single day, especially when one half of the main co-hosts are Super Bowl champions, joining us in the very successful western wing of his household at Danny Webb, AGSAU. Have you come off cloud nine yet, mate? How are you?
No, still absolutely flying. We're obviously going to go deep into this game, so I don't really need to talk about it too far yet. But what a feeling! What a feeling! This one felt like it meant a whole lot more.
Yes, I was with you on the day, and you were nervous right up until the 2-minute warning, which the other guys with us were like, "Mate, this is home and hosed at half time." But it was good to be around you, especially as you got the big W. Yeah,
and also massive shout out for NFL Australia for hosting us. We've got a heap of sick merch. I don't know if you can see behind me. Got a little towel. Got the Super Bowl hat. And we had a wicked time down there. And also shout out for everyone who came up and said, hey, introduce themselves. We gave out plenty of free subby holders. Made our way around. Didn't make too big of fools of ourselves, which is always nice when we're trying to act somewhat professional. But when the birds are doing what they're doing, I was locked in.
I'm actually surprised we didn't make bigger fools of ourselves with the way that it ended up.
Yeah, well, where it was and what we ended up doing, and I don't know, I felt like because the way the game kind of went, let's be honest here, a lot of people somewhat lost interest in what was going on because exactly what you said, the Eagles did dominate and they were going on to win. So I felt like a lot of people their focus shifted a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Let's get straight into it. The boys, especially on the defensive side, dominated. The Eagles 40, the Chiefs a measly 22. So realistically, you beat them by halftime because it was 24-zip at the half. A day where you, I, and Charlie finally got to actually meet and hang out and watch your boys get a very dominant win.
And what a win it was. What a win it was. So I told you in the last app that the Eagles are three-peat stoppers, and that's exactly what they did. They stopped the Chiefs from doing this the same way the Eagles in 2017 stopped the Patriots, which is kind of like a little bit of a backwards one because the Patriots won before and after.
Yeah, I always like that one, how it's a three-peat stopper, but it happened in the middle. So they were never actually going for a three-peat. But
let me have it, though. Let me have it. This is my episode. This is my episode. No, but it was an absolute pure O-line and D-line dominance. It was dominant on both sides of the ball. Yes, the defense completely shut down this Chiefs offense and Mahomes. Eagles had more offensive points than the Chiefs had offensive yards in the first half. They only put up 23 yards in the first half. So that the defense was just doing absolutely everything right. But before we get too deep into that, got to shout out our boy, Jordan Mailata. First Aussie to win a Super Bowl. He held the flag high and proud and also dominated himself. Absolutely dominated himself. It was incredible to see.
Yeah, it was so good to see. And being around the guys from NFL Australia as well, who have had so much to do with him. I got to meet Big Geordie Mailata last year purely because of these guys. So seeing them and seeing everything that we've been able to do, and no better Australian player, no better Australian to actually win the first one, I reckon. 2017 had never played the game, and within 8 years, he's a Super Bowl champion. So it was incredible to watch.
And the man's got a heart of gold too. He's not only a great athlete, but just such a great bloke.
One thing that was surprising about the game, and it was definitely a multi-killer in so many ways, I was adamant that Saquon Barkley had a big day, Eagles win, but Saquon was really nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, so the Chiefs obviously would have put so much focus into him, and they did manage to shut him down. I think it was 57 yards. We did have 25 carries, so we did try. But what a great adjustment by Kellen Moore to be able to be like, right, it's not working for us. Let's go back to the passing game. Hurts can still pass the ball, and he reproved that. He dominated in the air. He had a few long bombs. There was a few flags that got thrown, which there was questionable ones that went either way, which was great because it kind of stops that narrative that the refs are on the Chiefs payroll, which is good because no one needs that. No one needs that in their life. But yeah, because the flags are going both ways. Hurts still managed to do what he needed to do, and they just scored. They just kept on scoring, and the defense just kept on stopping him.
I don't know why we were so I know me especially. Jalen, he played so well in that Super Bowl loss. Like he was clear MVP too, however, runner-up MVP, however you want to call it. I don't know why we looked away from that, thinking, "Oh no, it's all on Saquon's shoulders." Like he dominated that last game, and then he just turned around and dominated this game. So he was clearly the MVP of the game.
And he's been so switched on. Like I don't think I've seen him smile once since that Super Bowl loss. He just hasn't. And he still has that photo on the background of his phone. He still has the Chiefs confetti and him walking off to the field with his head like hung low. He's still
Even
got
now?
that.
Do you reckon he's changed? Surely he's changed it now.
No, because he jumped on Jimmy Fallon, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But he jumped on Jimmy Fallon and he's like, "I'm not changing it." He's like, "I'm not done." He's like, "I need that." He's like, "That's my motivation." He's like, never gonna be back here and lose again." Was essentially what he was alluding to, which is incredible for him being so locked in for that. But as much as Hurts did dominate, it was really the defense, wasn't it? So they forced 3 turnovers, 6 sacks, and a pick 6 against Mahomes. Against fucking Mahomes, and this Chiefs offense. This defense is made up of rookies, made up of so many rookies, and it is incredible what they did. Obviously, Vic Fangio has done amazing. Like, didn't blitz once, and there was actually not even a complicated defensive play call. They never rushed more than 4 players, and always had 7 drop back into zone, bar like 4 plays, and I think they played man after that. Like, they didn't try and confuse anything. Like Cooper DeJean with that amazing pick 6. That was early. Got me so up and about, like nearly threw my beer in the air.
Oh, mate, you were slapping the table. It was good.
I had sore hands. I had sore hands from slapping the table because I was so excited. But then, like, literally the next drive, Mahomes throws another pick to Zach Bourne at the 14-yard line, and we score again. It was just so incredible. Josh Sweat as well had 2.5 sacks as like part of those 6 sacks. I just really hope that wasn't his last game as an Eagle.
Yeah, that's one thing about being such a successful team. We've seen it with the Lions, although they haven't had the ultimate success. Literally have no more coaches left because they've all been poached and gone elsewhere. But you've also lost one of your coaches, which was the worst kept secret leading into the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah, so Kellen Moore, he's gone. He's gone to the States, and yeah, that was happening, wasn't it? We just didn't mention it on the podcast because I asked not to, because I just wanted to keep everything focused on actually going to the Super Bowl and hopefully winning, because we're talking this game, like the scoreboard wasn't really reflective of what actually went down. It was a pure dominance until the Eagles really took their foot off the gas because they didn't need to. They didn't need to continue with doing the pressures and stuff that they were. They're kind of like almost like, oh, well, we've got this. Chiefs, you can score a couple times here. Man, what a game. So Howie literally built this team, this defensive team from the draft as well. Like so many rookies, as I mentioned before, but it allowed them to spend more money elsewhere. Like it's such a smart play by him, and he deserves so much credit for this because at the end of the day, defense wins championships.
Yeah, and you show that with the likes of Cooper DeJean that were able to have such a big day on his birthday, which even better for him. It was such a... Charlie has come out. He was unable to be on today. You know, he has to go and work, all those stupid things. But he said that Mahomes has had, I think it was statistically the worst Super Bowl possibly ever. One of his worst games, and it happened to be in, one of the biggest games. The biggest game of the year, one of his biggest. The fact that you're just able to shut him down and the way that you did shut him down, does this take, and huge question without notice for you, does this take, the GOAT debate is just gone? Because the worst loss that Tom Brady ever had in a Super Bowl was 7 points or 8 points to you boys in 2017. And even that was still a tight game. Like it wasn't over at halftime like this game was.
It's just interesting. It was just really, really interesting because Mahomes as well was 8-0 against Vic Fangio. 8-0. Like this is the first time he's ever lost against him, and he got dominated. So Vic Fangio knew that like blitzing wasn't going to work because he's done that every other time. So he's like, I'm just not going to do it. And then it was such disciplined defense by the crew and Vic Fangio's play calling that it did manage to completely shut him down. And I wonder if this is almost like set a recipe of like, this is how we can beat Mahomes. If Mahomes doesn't, like for every team in the league, if Mahomes doesn't go out and work on exactly everything that went wrong in this Super Bowl, is this the recipe of shutting him down? And if it is, if he can't beat this style of defense, there goes the GOAT. There goes the GOAT.
100% the recipe. Because I don't know if you noticed this last time they lost the Super Bowl to the Bucks. You pretty much just looked at that. It was just keep him in a box and you have to get to him. You can't let him get out and scramble. The few times he did get out and scramble, he did throw picks. One of them a pick six. You have to keep him in a box and make him actually try and throw the ball, especially when they're so banged up throughout the season. On the day they were fine, but throughout the season on the offense. So you've just pretty much taken that Bucks play calling of what 2020 or 2021 or whatever it was, applied it, and it's worked 2 from 2 against him. So I think that's definitely the recipe to beat them. And I have a feeling that this could be the end of the dynasty, the way that they were going. This could blow them up. That bad of a loss that they're not making the, I reckon possibly not even making the playoffs next year. That's how bad this will go.
Now that's a hot take. So like he couldn't even hit his get out of jail free card in Kelsey until
0 touches at halftime.
Yeah, until like halfway through the third. Yeah, and he got one like late in the fourth. So even Swifty being in the presence, which they hadn't lost in the playoffs when Swifty was there, didn't help him. Didn't help him this time, which is crazy. So like, yeah, you might be right. This might be the start of the big spiral on the way down. Not making the playoffs is pretty wild. Especially with the Andy Reid coach team. But if you want to clip this, mark it, bookmark it, whatever, shout out TMac rather than shouting me. Awesome, I'm all for it.
Bring it on. I want to hear it. And the fact that in a Super Bowl you can have your backup QB finish, that is mind-blowing. When you think about it, that is ridiculous. The fact that Kenny Pickett's been on and won more Super Bowls than a lot of players, like that is wild.
Did you have Kenny Pickett winning a Super Bowl on your bingo card like a couple of years ago? I sure as hell didn't. Like
I didn't have him playing a game.
Like the people he has a Super Bowl over are people like Lamar.
Yes.
Lamar, Josh Allen, Herbert. You know, the list goes on. Like there is a massive list of quarterback greats in our modern era that he's got a ring over. It is nuts. I also love the fact that now Hurts has a ring over them as well because he never gets enough respect put on his name, and he's shit on. So was Nick Sirianni. Was like in the Cleveland game, I think the Philly fans were chanting fire Sirianni or fire Nick or whatever it was, which is wild. I think he's top 3 coaches in his first 4 seasons for wins or something now, including playoffs. Top two. So there's only one other coach that's done better than him in his first 4 seasons. And he's got a Super Bowl.
So that Cleveland game was way back in week 5. You had the week 4 bye off the top of my head, or week 6, week 5 bye, something like that. He actually, and this is a big shout out to Brendo and Faf, he shaved his head that week. And since he shaved his head, he only lost 1 game.
And that was with Kenny Pickett at the helm as well.
And it was an absolute shootout against the Commanders. So
yeah.
Shaving your head goes a long way to winning Super Bowls. That's all I know.
So you're finally going to shave yours then?
Nah, fuck that. Maybe week 5 next year. We'll see.
And one more play that I really, really want to talk about because it was bloody gorgeous was that final deep ball to Smith that really sealed the deal for the game. It was a 46-yard bomb, and it went dropped perfectly in Smith's bread basket as he crossed the line and got a touchdown. There's actually a clip of Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni on the sideline. And Kellen Moore was like, we should call this. And Nick's like, nah, mate, just call it. Just whatever. And just walked off and just call it. And then when it went through and they all erupted and they all went off, I think that is such a beautiful moment, especially with Kellen Moore, like moving on to the Saints. It's such a good thing to see that, like, you know, the 2 coaches discussed it together. We're like, no, we can hit this play. And if we do hit this play, the game is at this point well and truly over. And it did. And it just worked out. And that pass in slow-mo, because Hurts is sitting on that Super Bowl logo as he throws it as well. It's just, honestly, it's cinema. It's perfect.
And big for Smith, because I don't think he got enough credit going. He's probably had, by his standards, a quieter, at least 6 to 8 weeks. You know, he might have started the season all right, but a quieter 6 to 8 weeks, come out and balled out in such a big game.
Absolutely. Like,
it was all about AJ Brown leading into it. So
yeah, AJ Brown, obviously, AJ Brown has like the media tag on him at all times, doesn't he? Because he read a book on the sideline. He wasn't getting catches. He's very vocal in like press conferences and stuff. He'll say that, what did we do wrong? We didn't pass the ball well. Like, you know, he is always going to get the spotlight. You put Devontae Smith in maybe not any other team. A lot of other teams though, and he's your wide receiver 1. He's well and truly your wide receiver 1.
100%, yeah.
And he just plays his role so well. So you're right. He's underappreciated by the media, I'd say. And then also underappreciated by a lot of other people. But you're putting your quarterback 2, your safety 2 on him. He's beaten him. And we saw that. Like, he left whoever was defending on him in the dust. Like, absolutely left him in the dust. And you could see Saquon, because it was a play-action play. Saquon, like, ran past, and just his eyes just lit up because he's like, that's going to be a touchdown. Like, we knew. He knew, we all knew straight away. And once again, I had very sore hands from slapping the table.
Yeah, I think you can actually see there's a shot from behind. The ball hasn't even reached Smith yet. AJ Brown's finger up in the air. One of your big O-lines turned around and already racing to cuddle Jalen like it was, and the ball wasn't even there yet. But like you said, such a perfect ball that was hitting him. Nothing between. He's number 6, isn't he? Like right in the chest. I was going to say between the numbers, but he only has one number to hit. So, so flip to the other side. They were just so like you said, so bad. Travis Kelce, who's always been, compared to Gronk. Gronk is up there with, if not the greatest tight end of all time. Kelce was just like beyond useless. Couldn't pass rush. Like there was no help in the pass rush. Sorry, like Mahomes was just getting absolutely brutalized by whoever was on Kelce. Just even though they lost, does he still head down that retirement path like you were saying?
Well, he said so many times during this Super Bowl week leading up to it that he had a lot of football left in him. After watching that, like...
He looked disinterested in times. Like, I know they were getting absolutely slaughtered and it's hard to be in and around it, but he just, early on, you're just like, Carl, give us something.
Unless he's going to have a full redemption season and actually go out and go back to the way he was, do you want another season where you're kind of like that, where you look disinterested? Like, it's not the best way to finish your career. I know you wanted to hold up, you wanted to 3P, break all the records, and I have no doubt now after watching this game, zero doubt, if they had a won, he was gone. He was gone. He was retired. He was well and truly following Swifty on whatever she wanted to do. Maybe they run off, get married, have kids, whatever. Do whatever you want. Like, you're fine. You're absolutely fine financially. You do not need to play for that. But he said he's still playing for the love of the game. I couldn't really see the love of the game there. So whether he comes back, he's got to come back and do something amazing. They really need to get back to the Super Bowl, or he just needs to dominate. But you're saying they're not even going to make the playoffs? Do you want to come back and not make the playoffs?
No. Well, look, yeah, I do, and I will stick by that. They'll come back and not make the playoffs. There'll be someone in that division, maybe the Raiders, might actually be able to jump up. We got some news in next week's episode, and the Raiders will be circling all around that news. Yeah, that last time this happened, though, they did come back and win the next couple. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I just feel like there's so many like footage of him, just real piss-weak efforts, not blocking. And if I was Patrick Mahomes, like, he's your best player. Like you said, he's your blanket. He's your man that you go, bang, I've got you for 5. I've got you for 10. 3rd and 13, I'm looking down, I'm finding 87. But he wasn't even pass blocking for you. Like, whoever was on him was almost guaranteed to get to it. Like, I feel like Josh Sweat's 2.5 sacks were on him. Like, I'd be looking at him and be like, mate, if you're going to go out on that game, that's going to ruin your legacy.
For sure, that's what I'm saying. Like, so he's almost got to come back for a redemption year. He has to. It's crazy. It's crazy to think. Because, like, as you said, he was being compared to Gronk, and even Gronk was saying it himself. He's the me of this generation.
So debate's over. Mahomes isn't Brady, and Travis Kelce isn't Gronk. It's done. Let's never speak of it again.
Yeah, because I'm sure it'll never come up on any
not
other episode.
once more. And as far as your side, mate, did just one and done? Like, we move on next year, obviously.
So I've got a bit on that. I've got a little bit on that, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that for the next point, my next talking point. But before that, I don't know if you saw, but the Eagles went on Jim Fallon. So Barkley and Hurts went up there, and this is such a great quote, and like killed me when it happened. Barkley got asked by Big Jimmy himself, what is your role in the tush push? And like, is it what the Eagles call the play? And Hurts was like, it's not what we call the play. It's like, I'm not telling you what we call the play because we call it. He's like, but it's not the tush push. And he was like fully against it. And then he went to Barkley. He's like, what's your role? And he's like, well, my role is basically to push the tush. It was honestly elite. But massive shout out for Barkley for this, because he said he wouldn't actually go on the show unless all the offensive linemen were there. So we brought them all out on there, and then they all went to shotgun a beer. It was a beer Bud Light, because it must be Barkley's sponsor. He also bought them all a legit truckload of beer to celebrate for the part of the parade. It's going to drive in the parade. I think they call it a Bird Light. Anyway, so I bought him a whole truckload of beer. So he really recognizes that without the offensive line, he wouldn't have had this season.
And he finished up with 2,500 yards or something, which is a record across.
Yeah, he broke records.
Yeah.
He broke records. It was Barkley. We knew he was going to break records, didn't we? But the interesting part, when the O-line all went down to shotgun this beer on Jimmy Fallon, even Jimmy Fallon did one, you saw Jalen Hurts. He did not have one single sip of that beer. He cracked it and poured it over the offensive line like as if it was champagne. He is still looking so locked in. He said he's still processing the win. He's like not ready, I guess, to celebrate in that way. He's like, because the job's not done. So they're talking like this is the beginning of something, which I really hope it is. Because then even AJ Brown went to his Insta as well and said he wasn't even satisfied with the Super Bowl win. It wasn't what he was hoping he was going to get from it. He thought, like a lot of players, their one and only goal is to get to one Super Bowl. But now with so many teams like getting multiple Super Bowls and the Chiefs having this dynasty, I think that has now become the new barometer, the new bar that everyone kind of wants to get to. So my question to you is, will this Eagles team become a bit of a dynasty?
I do. Pros and cons about that. I love the whole mentality is we're not done. We're going to be back next year. We're going to be back the year after. We want to make this a long-term thing. But I think you need to enjoy these moments. Like, how many people do you hear get to the end of the career and like, do you know what? I wish I had that beer. Like, I can still, you still need to be able to be locked in, but enjoy, like, without the highs of those kind of moments. Obviously, the lows of 2 years ago, you need the highs and the lows, I think, as an athlete. If you just 100% of the time, like, I'm not enjoying the highs, I'm not feeling down on the lows, then you get to the end of your career and you're like, well, what was it all for? Like, I feel like you really have to, by all means, stay locked in, all those kind of, but fuck, enjoy yourself, mate. You just won the Super Bowl. Like,
mate, you don't have to tell me twice. I was shotgunning beers at half time.
We do. I have to share a little bit about our group chat. Half time, I was out there, kissing babies and shaking hands. Where message? Let's get some content out. I've got beers to drink. All right, mate. Come on, let's go. Let's go do a quick chat. Me, you, Charlie. It was good, but huge day for you. And yeah, like, do we change the debate about the GOAT? Is it no longer Mahomes as the GOAT? Do we look towards Jalen Hurts?
So the interesting thing about this is Jalen Hurts, and I'm just going to compare Jalen Hurts and Mahomes over their first 4 seasons. Regular season wins, Hurts has 45, Mahomes has 49. Pretty damn close. Playoff appearances, both at 4. Super Bowl appearances, both at 2. Super Bowl wins, both at 1. So we're early days, and I actually, would this team be a dynasty? You got to look at the offensive weapons that we have in AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley also came out and said, I don't want to be remembered as the giant that went to the Eagles and won 1 Super Bowl. He's like, I want to be remembered as an Eagle. So he's looking to stay. Then you've got this young, keen defensive core that got the taste of the victory of the Super Bowl in their first season. Don't think that's going to make them more hungry? It's really, really interesting to actually see. And like, obviously, next season is so far away and so many things can happen. And even Tom Brady said, like, getting to 1 Super Bowl, you're on a razor blade thin edge of you make one decision wrong and you're not making it. And that's it. That's it. Your whole season's done. So I understand how tough it is to get to back-to-back Super Bowls, let alone win back-to-back ones. So the Chiefs and Mahomes have done something amazing in that. And I'm not going to say that Eagles are going to do that. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that this team could potentially, if they keep all the pieces that they got, can continue to dominate and hopefully make it to another one and hopefully win another one with the same core that they've got.
And then hopefully we get you over there to actually enjoy it. That's the plan.
Yeah, I don't think I can do another Super Bowl in Australia. Like, thank you, NFL Australia, for everything that they did and like everything that they hosted. But the whole time I was like, God, I wish I was there. I wish I was in New Orleans. Even if I just went to New Orleans and watched it in a pub over there, like at least you're still around, like, the whole weeks leading up to it. If the Eagles are back, I'll be in the States.
Yes, and if the Packers are back, I'm definitely in the States. So let's get it around. Get this to your friends. Levi Stadium next year. We need any given Sunday on the ground enjoying it with the boys. One thing, it's part of the game. Again, I'm throwing this on you without any context. I don't know if I'm late to the party. I feel when this kind of all came out, I felt very old. I won't lie to you. The halftime show, I didn't actually get to watch it live. Again, shaking hands, kissing babies. Went back and watched it. I didn't realise there was such a feud between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I won't lie to you.
You've been living under a rock?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't. I listen to nothing but us in 24/7. Seeing that show, mate, how good was it? How awesome is the feud? And I'll put it out there now. I am 100% Kendrick Lamar. Fuck Drake.
I think pretty much the whole world is, apart from Drake's legal team that is suing the shit out of Kendrick. I think he was almost asked as well not to play.
I think he was told do not play, which it makes it even better because he kept the. So I did a whole deep dive last night. I spent about 2 hours just once I found out that this feud was a thing. I just wanted to know all about it. So they've been sued for the song. Obviously, it's a bit of a diss track put towards Drake.
Yeah, Not Like Us is the title of the song.
And was told, do not play this song. And love the fact that Not Like Us, last or second last song, stared down the camera, says Drake's name. So everyone knows it's about Drake, but he's put it out there that it's about Drake. And the best thing about this, so one of my good friends, actually, Drake was in Melbourne, apparently watching it from Grand Casino, so 300 metres away from us, watching it at the time, had a show in Melbourne that night. That little green flag that you have in your background, a good mate of mine was at the show, holding the green flag 2 foot away from him. When he come back right towards, wanted to enjoy the show because he's a Drake fan, stopped heckling him, let him play his show. And then at the very end, threw the flag up at him. And Drake saw it, takes his earphone out, calls him a bitch, and kicks the flag back at him.
That is amazing. Perfect. So good.
Great Super Bowl day, and then topped it off by getting called a bitch by Drake.
Does it get better than that? I don't think so.
Nah, awesome.
If there's anyone calling me a bitch and it's Drake, I'm probably calling him a bitch back, but that's why I wasn't at the Drake concert. No, I'm not paying money to go see it. But, yeah, awesome. I loved it. I thought it was I know he copped a bit of flack because the way he did it, but because they don't get paid for that Super Bowl halftime show. I don't know if you didn't know that. They make a lot more money from it. Don't you worry. But going and spending, he spent $15 million of his own money to make the stage and how he wanted it, just to diss someone. Fucking well done. I love it. Because it's really interesting that you're such a big fan, because there's a lot of people out there that are saying that it wasn't necessarily the best Super Bowl halftime performance. Maybe if they're not into the whole Drake feud, they probably don't get how big it actually was. But yeah, some people even quoting it as one of the worst Super Bowl halftime performances of all time.
I have heard that, but I'm not one of those people. I thought it was fucking gross. And I didn't even know. I just thought it was good. Yeah, cool, no worries. I'll go back and I've watched most of the game, and I thought, I might as well watch the halftime show. Saw this, looked into it, I'm like, this is amazing. To use 126 million people as your audience to just rag on somebody else, I think brilliant.
So good.
Yeah.
You couldn't really have asked for much more, could you?
No. Well, you could, and you got what you wanted. So you got a big W on the day. So what a day. It was an incredible day. Danny, do you have anything else to finish off, mate? It's huge that AGS now, we need to get a little symbol that sits in our top corner that says we are a official Super Bowl winning podcast, I think.
Yeah. NFL media accredited in one corner, Super Bowl winning in the other corner. Almost looked like I had wings then. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Oh, Jesus. But huge shout out to you. Great to meet Charlie, and then we've got big things coming. Congratulations, mate. I look forward to joining you next year when the Packers get the big W, and we'll be in Levi Stadium to watch it, so it's even better.
Hey, actually, also massive shout out to the Packers. They're the only team that came relatively close to the Eagles in the playoff run too. So
I didn't want to bring it up, but now that you did, you put 50 on the Commanders. I think 29 on the Rams. and you put, 40 on the Chiefs, but only 22 on my Packers. The only problem is we didn't put 23 onto you. That was one issue.
Yeah.
So,
It's generally how it works. Well, I think we said this on a previous episode. Whoever scores the most actually wins.
Bullshit.
Wild.
I know.
Absolutely
Crazy.
wild.
All right, mate. Well done. And we'll see you. We aren't done for the year yet. We got some news coming out that we thought we should cover. So we'll see you next week once you've come off cloud 9 and let the dust settle.
I don't think I'm coming off cloud 9 for until the next Super Bowl. Let's be real.
You said you didn't want to. I was like, it's going to be a rough 6 months, but you deserve it, mate. Huge shout out. And send us out, mate.
Go Birds.